What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a Hasbro Star Wars Vintage Collection market update. And I know you guys saw all the big news with some of the recent announcements by Hasbro. Boss Bounty has covered that in detail, but I figured that now's the time to talk about some recent sales for Vintage Collection, mainly 1.0. I do have some more recent releases in here, and I also do have some graded Vintage Collection that all sold over the last 4 or 5 days or so. So let's go ahead and dig right in. The first one is Vc56 Cathaba. This is the brown bandana variant, and we've talked about the price disparity between the US and overseas in the United Kingdom and Europe about the brown versus red. And it's funny how inexpensive relative to the US market the red bandana Cathaba is over in the UK versus over here. The red bandana version of Cathaba here in the US goes for some big money, 200 plus. I've even seen as high as $300, believe it or not, for that one. But this is just the brown bandana variant, and I should have one. I got a pre-production version of this coming back from Collector Archive Services within the next month or so. It was a factory sample, quality control, vendor sample type thing. So hopefully we'll get that back in the next month or so. But this is the brown bandana, just the standard release. It looked really nice and mint. It sold for $100, which I thought was a great deal. I mean, for how clean that card was and the condition it's in, it was a pretty good deal. This is one that I thought was an interesting one. It was an offerless Obi-Wan Kenobi Vc56. It looked very clean. It had some minor edge wear on the back of the card, but I have to be honest with you. I haven't seen this one offerless for sale before, and I don't know if I've necessarily been looking for it, but all the ones, I think my example and everything else I've seen always has like the offer sticker, but this one was offerless, and it does look quite a bit different to me. It just kind of stands out how different the card back looks without that offer sticker on there. And I think that the market clearly agreed with me. It was a beautiful unpunched example, and it sold for $150, which is quite a bit more than what the one with the Darth Maul offer sticker goes for. So just an interesting one I thought I'd throw in there. These are all over the map. I didn't organize them at all, but I just thought we'd kind of go through them. This was another one, VC54, the Expanded Universe Art Trooper Commander, one I'd like to get in my collection pretty soon, but that one sold for $200 plus $8 shipping. Hard to tell what kind of condition it was in, since it was still in the figure shield case or case. So it's always a little bit tricky, but it just based on the limited photos that were there, it did look very clean. So $200 took that one home, and that's kind of in line with where we've seen that one sell here recently. There was, I think, one in last week's video that sold for about the same price. Another beautiful one was the Revenge of the Jedi retail release with the prototype Boba Fett offer sticker, and that one was unpunched, and that one sold for some good money, $330. So really nice example there. And I'd say a good solid 85 plus, just the very, very tiniest amount of edge wear on that card. But that one was drool worthy to me. Drool worthy. I'd love to have had that one. So that very, very nice pickup for whoever got that one. This one I thought was actually a really good deal relative to where we've seen Grand Moff Tarkin sell here recently. And VC98, we've talked about him at length in other videos and how much that has jumped. But again, I know it's not mint, and I'm trying to incorporate comments from subscribers that, hey, look, Action Figure Grader, I can't afford the super ultra mint, the super high grade, and I like to see what prices look like for ones that maybe have a few blemishes. So I try to include those where appropriate, and I thought this was a good one to do that on, because Grand Moff Tarkin has gotten really expensive. I mean, for a super mint example, it's $250 now. That's kind of the going rate for a really nice, clean Grand Moff Tarkin. And this one did have a nice, decent sized crease on about a 1-inch spider vein on the front of the card, or crease, whatever you want to call it. And it didn't go all the way through the back, but anyway, it's probably like an 80 grade. And I think this is a good example of one that, if you're willing to live with some minor blemishes, it's still unpunched. It's still, the rest of it's in great shape. The blister's in great shape. So to me, I think that if you're on a budget and you can't afford like one that's absolutely perfect, that's $250. Well, this one sold for, let's call it $120 less than what the going market rate is now for a near mint plus example. So that gives you a data point there if you're willing to live with some blemishes. There were a couple of Bastilla Shans that sold. This is another one. I don't know. I'm really drawn to the expanded universe cards right now because, as we've talked about, it seems like Hasbro is re-releasing more and more, reissuing more and more of these TVC 1.0, and it's driving the prices down. And we're going to cover Ahsoka here a little bit later on. And so I guess my argument is, if I'm going to get any TVC 1.0 and pay the prices that the market commands right now, why not get it for, why not buy Vintage Collection 1.0? And when I say 1.0, for those of you who are new, I'm talking about the first issue Vintage Collection figures that came out between 2010 and 2012. So that's TVC 1.0. They stopped for a little while and then they started back up again. And so TVC 1.0 versus 2.0 is what I'm talking about. But if I'm going to start paying these stupid prices for TVC 1.0, why not go with the expanded universe cards? Because it's already been said, I think, by numerous people, the expanded universe cards are probably never coming back. All right. I would be really surprised if they did. So even if they do re-release Bastilla Shan or the ARC Trooper Commander, like we just looked at, or some of those other figures that are on this card back, Shea Vizsla is another one, they're probably never going to be on an expanded universe card. So these are pretty safe, I think, to hold their value long term. Now, there's going to be some collectors that if they do re-release Bastilla Shan, maybe it still negatively impacts that card back, the original issue. I don't know. We haven't really seen that yet, to my knowledge, for any of the expanded universe figures. I think a good example would be Starkiller, to see what Starkiller does. Surely they're going to re-release Starkiller in a Gaming Greats, wave at some point. I'd be really shocked if they didn't. And that one's going to be really curious to see how that price gets affected for the 1.0 release of Starkiller, because right now it's $250, right? So, but anyway, that's kind of my reasoning. I think that I'd like to pick up more of the expanded universe card backs, because even if they do get re-released, they're not going to look like this. And but anyway, this one sold for $155.99, and then another one sold. Where is it now? There was one other one. I'm sorry, I got them out of order here. We'll come back to Bastilla Shan. We had one more. I think it sold for about $200. I might have accidentally closed it, so if I did, I apologize. But this one had a little bit of crease, on the hang tag that was still attached, so it's still on punch, but it had a little crease on there, which you do see that a lot with Canadian issues. But anyway, there was another one that sold, and if it's not on here, I apologize, but it sold for $200, and it was a little cleaner than this one. So $155 to $200 is kind of the price point now for a Bastilla Shan. Here was another one. This was the Return of the Jedi Princess Leia in her slave outfit. It was listed for $500. Best offer accepted. Now, I tried using the 130point.com website, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with that, I did leave it up this time. So this is 130point.com, and you can go on here and then click on this search eBay sales, and then type in, whatever you want to type in. And what I usually do is I copy and paste the subject line, and sometimes it pulls up and sometimes it doesn't. They're still working out their kinks right now. It's not a perfect system. So in this example, I tried all kinds of different wording variations for the Slave Leia Vintage Collection. I tried cutting out Slave Leia. I tried all kinds of different combinations, and it still didn't show up. So so I couldn't pull up what this Slave Leia sold for. It was listed at $500. But that's the website for those of you who want to look up best offer accepted. That's the website to use, 130point.com. It's not perfect, but they're still working out, ironing out the kinks, but it does work most of the time. So, and it's only for US listed items, by the way. So anyway, that one was $500, best offer accepted. Here was another Aayla Secura, which we've been seeing, and obviously she's getting re-released on that animated Clone Wars card back. And it has affected the price. It really has. Aayla Secura pre-announcement was about $140 to $150, and now it's selling for about $100 for a near mint card back. So that's about a 30% drop. And that's pretty consistent. That 30% number is pretty consistent, and I would say that's even true for the Ahsoka. Since the Ahsoka announcements, it's been about a 30% drop, and whether that remains the same or not, I don't know. But, to me, the Aayla Secura that's coming out is a little bit different, right, than this one, but or a lot different, with the different card back. But it has negatively affected that price. The Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper. This one's got the Boba Fett offer, prototype offer, VC41. Nice clean card. That was sold over in the UK for $150, 115 pounds. Now, again, to me, that seems like a big number to me. I've seen that very regularly sell over here for a third of that, 50 to 60 US dollars. So that number seems big to me. And obviously I'm precluded from even bidding on something like that when the GS, the global shipping program's $90 right now, but we've already talked about that, so I won't belabor the point. But anyway, VC41, that seems like a big number. I mean, over here, 60, 70 bucks, maybe 80 at the top end, but I've seen that very regularly in near mint condition, like 90 grade condition, sell for 50 bucks. Maybe that was a few months ago, but I still think that this 150 US dollars is pretty high. Here it is. Okay, so here's the other Bastilla Sean. This one was another clean card. Now, this one did not have the little creasing that we saw in the other example, but it was also unpunched. This one was a little bit cleaner, though, and that one sold for $199.95 plus $585 shipping. So that gives you a price range, $155 to $200 for a Bastilla Sean, but this one was cleaner than the other one that we just talked about. This price really shocked me. This was a Shea Vizsla VC101. Now, it was listed as unpunched C9.5, and it was very, very clean. But you could, just recently, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, 2 AFA graded examples sold for less than what this one sold for. This one was listed for $580, and the best offer accepted actually did work when I used the 130point.com website, and the sales price was $500 even. That's a big number because there was 2 different 90 grade AFA graded examples of Shea Vizsla, the US card, exact same item but already graded, and it sold for $360 and I think $280. One of them was an uncirculated 90 and one of them was a circulated 90, so quite a bit less than what this one sold for. And so that one I'll put down as an overpay, but $500 is too high for the expanded universe Shea Vizsla ungraded, given what 2 of them just recently sold for. Admittedly, this one did look pristine. It looked really nice, and maybe it's just the collector who didn't particularly want a graded example, but this one looked very, very clean, and it did sell for $500 was the best offer accepted. A few others. The rest of these I think are all graded for the most part. This one sold for 50 bucks. This was the Naboo Pilot, sold by Jeff's Collectible Empire. And I think the reason it was a 9.0 AFA grade, I think the reason it sold for so cheap is because the case was so scratched up. You can see all the scratches on the case. So the case was really, really beat up. And so they were basically paying the value of what one of these would be ungraded. So, which is fine. Whatever. But, 50 bucks for that, despite the scratched up case, plus $20 shipping. So let's call it $70. That's not bad, even with the damage to the acrylic case. This one was another pretty good one. Same seller. This was Cheered Imwe. It was an AFA 9.0. That sold for 80 bucks plus $15 shipping. That's a good deal, in my opinion. I think my only advice to these guys would be, if you're going to grade more of these, is to use the 3-tier grading system. But admittedly, AFA's 3-tier grading is so expensive right now. I looked it up yesterday just to see where it is, and it's $90. This is the cheapest option right now for the 3-tier grading. So it's cost prohibitive right now until AFA opens up some of their cheaper tiers and longer turnaround time tiers. But you have to pay 90 bucks right now plus shipping to and from. But admittedly, it's the return time is pretty low right now. But anyway, once AFA opens up their cheaper tiers, it's awfully tempting to kind of send some of these in to, just to mix it up a little bit and have a few 3-tier graded AFA examples from some of those Big Bad Toy Store exclusives that are not exclusives, but collector grade that I've got coming next year. This is VC87 Luke Skywalker, AFA graded 9.25 on the modern scale. This one was best offer accepted, listed for $185. And again, the 130point.com tool did not work for this one. I tried so many different combinations, but this is a beautiful unpunched example. This was pointed out by Darth Wizzy, so thanks for pointing that one out. Pretty nice item. It was $185 plus $20 shipping. So it probably, it was probably about $175, $180 after the best offer accepted, but I think that's a pretty good deal for that Luke Skywalker lightsaber construction. This is a recent release. This is the Jedi Fallen Order. I've got 2 of these over at Collector Archive Services right now. This was a gorgeous uncirculated 9.0. It's a shame that they used the casing with the Clearview label up top. I don't like those as much, but This was apparently a fan channel exclusive, which I didn't even know that, but anyways, interesting. 2 of them is sold. They've got 2 more available. It's $130 shipped right now for this one. I think that's a great deal. So there's still 2 more available for those of you who don't mind this Clearview label up top. Really nice though. And it's got the archival case too, which is really nice for these biker scouts. And as we've talked about in past videos, even like the Saga collection and some of those VOTC biker scouts, they yellow really easily. So it's nice that whoever got this graded used the archival case to prevent future yellowing on these modern biker scouts. But that looks really awesome. I can't wait to get mine back. I've got 2 of those at Collector Archive right now. It's awfully tempting to buy that one. I wish, again, that it had the normal Classic View label instead of the Clearview, but it is what it is. This is the only remaining ungraded example I've got, but this is the unpunched VCP03 mail-away rocket FET. And the reason I put this one back here is because right after this, we're going to look at a graded example that sold. This one sold for $174. That was a good deal, I thought. That was a really good deal. It looked really clean. It had just some very, very minor edge wear, but I think it would grade all day at probably an 85 plus or a 90. But 175 is about the going rate for a near mint or near mint plus unpunched rocket firing FET mail away. I think that price was right on the money and very fair. And then along with that, I think the same day actually, let's see, that one sold, I don't have what day that sold, but this one sold December 3rd, so 4 days ago. This was an uncirculated 90 mail order exclusive. And so this has got the Classic View label. That's, you know, I'm using grading jargon that probably no one cares about, but AFA calls this the Classic label, where it's in the inside at the bottom of the case. The Clearview label is like this, where it has the label up top, and there it is. So this is the Classic, or excuse me, the Clearview label, and this is the Classic label. So when I say Clearview and Classic, that's what I'm referring to. But anyway, this was a pretty good price, I thought. 18 bids, $350 plus $20 shipping. That seems about right. It seems like, you know, that's $370 after shipping. It's, you know, anywhere between $350 and $400 is pretty fair for a U90 rocket firing FET in the current environment. Last but not least, the tales of Ahsoka's demise are greatly exaggerated, because this one went for big money. This is the last Ahsoka card back that I need for my TVC 1.0 versions of Ahsoka. And so I was watching this one anxiously, and unfortunately it just went too high for what I'm willing to spend on it. My hope is that this one comes down even further, because I want to get this one. This is the European market version. So basically they just took the US card back and slapped the European multi-language stickers on the back of this VC102 Ahsoka, and then they cover up some of the labels there on the front. So it's just the US card back though. They just add those stickers. But this one was an AFA 9.0, and it sat pretty low. It sat pretty low for a while. It sat at around $300 or so. And I was like, well, if that stays under 500, I consider it. But you know, I talked about this in the last video. I'm kind of not feeling like spending money right now. I want to spoil my kids rotten for Christmas. And so this one did jump all the way to $812 at the end of bidding. So again, that's got the archival case, European sticker, 9.0 grade. I mean, this was really, really nice. So I'd like to pick that one up though, maybe after the Ahsoka reissue hits, and hopefully prices come down for the remaining stock of these European sticker versions. But I'd love to get all 3, because I've got the Canadian, I've got the US, and this is the only one I need. But $812 is a pretty solid price given where we've seen Ahsoka ungraded sell for recently, and that's been kind of $300 to $400 range for the most part for a near mint or near mint plus ungraded Ahsoka. So for a 9.0 grade, and admittedly this was sold in the US, and it's a European sticker version, so these don't come up over here very much, and when they do, they can often be beat up. But $812 plus $20 shipping is a pretty good number in the current environment, I think, given Ahsoka's pretty rapid price decline that we've seen recently. That's all I really had for this video. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this price information, please consider subscribing. To my existing subscribers, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, as well as any comments that you have below on recent pickups or what you're seeing in the market. But just thought we'd share some recent sales data for TVC 1.0 and 2.0, both graded and ungraded. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much, and I'll be back soon.